Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you could, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We could have the roll call, please.
All right, so we have Lorraine Benefield,
Here.
Neil Brennan,
Here.
Elaine Clyde,
Here.
April McLaughlin,
Here.
Shavonna Reed,
Here.
Justin Strickland,
Here.
and currently absent Ken Jones and Edith Ramlow and Carol Sprague.
Thank you. I hope everyone had a chance to read and approve the minutes. Is there any corrections, changes, additions? If not, can I have a,
I move we approve the minutes.
I second.
okay, thank you. First and second, we approved the minutes for filing. Okay, and now at the beginning of our meeting, we are going to have a open to the public session where we can see if anyone has any comments or anything to say this morning. Appreciate your input. Good morning, Edith.
Morning.
You're welcome to come to the
Good morning.
Good morning, John Labriola, Inverness. I just wanted to thank the library administration for, keeping their word about not using our libraries to promote LGBT Pride Month again this year. So thank you to the library administrator. And, it's great to focus on the library's mission of literacy and all the other wonderful programs you have. So I know I'm often up here complaining about something, but wanted to let you know that, when you do something good, I think you deserve commendation, so thank you. And again, thank you to the newest member of the Library Advisory Board, if he had anything to do with that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I just wanted to echo this gentleman's sentiments. I was in my branch about 3 weeks ago, and the place was just fantastic. Really, really great. Clean. The display cases with the fossils and the buttons from the early pioneers of the area was just great. I felt like a little kid walking around that area in the Lakes Region Library. So and the fact that it's not a brick and mortar Pride Parade was just great. So I just want all of you to know that I appreciate that very much. Cities and towns and states all over the country are, I think, have finally realized that we don't have to obey the latest agenda that pops up here and there. So I'm glad you all kept it clean, kept the place, all of the libraries acceptable for all of the normies in society. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else at this point? Okay, we do have some other things to discuss today, and we will have another, if we have any motions, we'll have time to comment as well. So we'll just move on. Report from officers and standing groups. I don't think we have much there today, but I will tell you that what we're going to discuss for the future will have an effect on that. And from here on out, we will have more to say about that. We'll get back to doing some fundraising and other things that we've done in the past that we haven't over the past COVID years. So we'll just put that on hold for now. Now we're going to have the director report, but I want to make a little bit of a comment before that. Adam's done a lot of work on this. This is something new that we're looking at, and he has a lot of information to give us today, and I think everybody's going to really like it. And as a board, we're going to get back to work now and do a lot of really important things. So take it away, Adam.
All right. Thank you, April. Yep, what April's referring to will come a little later in new business, but just as a overall director's report, things are moving very well at the library. Just want to give you guys a couple brief statistics just to kind of put that in perspective for you. that new library card issued were up 30% from last year. So we've signed up around 1,100 more library card users than we had last year. Library visits are up 8%, so we're seeing an increase of traffic in our buildings. Circulation, checkouts, overall digital and actually physical in-print circulation is up 10% from last year. So we are again seeing more and more people checking out our materials, and program attendance is up 20% from where we were last year.
Wow.
So we're definitely seeing more people in our buildings. They're engaging with our programs, and overall things are just very trending in a very positive direction. I'm still currently working on our library strategic plan. I'll have that for you all at the next meeting, so you can take a look at that. But I'm still getting a lot of input from different community members, friends groups, and just different organizations, just to kind of get some input on where the community would like to see the direction of the library go in the next 5 years. We have just onboarded our 2 new supervisors, so we filled out our supervisor team. So we just, Tracy started 2 weeks ago. She is the supervisor at Floral City. And then Sarah actually started Monday. So Sarah, some of you may know, was our youth services librarian at the Central Ridge branch a few years back. She is now our new supervisor at the Homosassa Library. So we're very excited to have those 2 on board. We have 2 vacancies open right now. They're both for library aide positions, and they're both at the Lakes Region Library, but we are scheduling interviews for that shortly. The other kind of big news that's coming up that I've got for you is the book sale. So some of you may know this information already, but we're slowly working with the Focals group to get the word out that the mega book sale will be moving locations this year. So it's going to be moving from where it's always been at the auditorium in Inverness. It's going to be now the Citrus Springs Community Center. So we will be getting a lot more information about that out to people, so they're aware that that change is coming. But they are moving to that location. And the dates for the book sale will be October 13th, which is a Friday, through October 16th, which is a Monday. And that's pretty much all my updates for now. I do have, like I said, some more for new business, but that's kind of what's going on in the library. The other thing that we're focusing on a lot is summer, which you'll hear a lot more about from the other library staff.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Adam. I know we're going to hear a lot from you today. Okay, so we'll get our manager updates, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm excited to share with you that we were able to help our patron, Reza Woodard, pass her citizenship test. Reza first joined the everyday English class that's taught at Homosassa on Wednesday evenings about 1.5 years ago. And the everyday English class is taught by volunteer tutors to assist English as a second language adult learners with pronunciation and grammar and vocabulary and understanding idioms such as "it's raining cats and dogs." One goal of the class is to help with confidence building. In Reza's case, she gained the confidence to join the citizenship class that's taught by our literacy librarian, Amber Poole. After the 6-week course, she passed the citizenship test and became an American citizen. Reza beamed with pride when she told us that the citizenship officer told her that she speaks beautiful English. We're very proud of Reza, as she worked very hard to get her citizenship. So everyday English classes are taught at Homosassa on Wednesdays from 5:30 to 6:30. And since these classes seem to be the gateway for them to build the confidence to move into citizenship classes, the volunteer tutors are now going to begin teaching everyday English at the Central Ridge Library on Tuesdays from 5:30 to 6:30 in July. And then shortly after that, citizenship classes will be held at the Central Ridge Library too.
Thank you. That's spectacular news. Love it.
Hello, hello.
Good morning, Deb.
First, I'd like to talk about C4Con. That is getting ready and amping up. It'll be September 23rd at the Homosassa branch. We have all kinds of vendors and events and costumes and cosplay. So we are really looking forward to that. The second thing, I'd like to talk about is that the library is, getting ready, and we're helping out with the sheriff's department and the county for hurricane season with our emergency management team. So for those of you that don't know, if a hurricane comes, we man the Citizens Information Line. We help out at shelters. We do the call down for special needs, and we just help out wherever we can. Every staff member is assigned a job to support our community. So we're getting that underway, getting our red folders ready for all the supervisors. So just an important part we play in the community. Got it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. Hello.
Good morning. Okay, so first thing I have is a quick update. As you may remember, in February we hosted our third reading tree, and so with that, this year we added little spine labels to any of the books that were donated through that campaign that we have been hosting the last few years in February. So if you walk through your buildings and your branches, you'll see lots of new books as Karen is finishing up the ordering process for that. And these items are starting to appear on the shelves. So it's just this cute little label that pops up above our regular cataloging labels. And then they always have this happy label on the inside on the front cover. So I just want to let you know that those will be starting to appear now in our branches. Okay, so for those of you who have participated in Big Library Read in the past, we have another Big Library Read that is coming up on July the 13th. And so that is a 2-week window of time where there is a book that is selected for the Worldwide Digital Book Club. And so that is run through Overdrive, the company that we utilize, that is the parent company for Libby. And so this go round for Big Library Read, the title will be A Very Typical Family by Sierra Godfrey. And that book will be available in ebook and audiobook. Anyone can check it out at any given time during that 2-week period. There's no holds, there's no wait lists. So it's that instant gratification moment that we love when we want to read a new title. I was reading up on the description of it last night. It is very much that beachy rom-com-y read. So if you are looking for thrillers and mysteries, this is probably not the book for you, but this is a good light read to kind of close out your summer month. And then, as was alluded, I have a quick update on our summer reading program. So we have completed 3 weeks of summer reading. We are in week 4 of 6. And as of this morning, I just double checked all of the numbers before coming up here. We have 356 students who are registered through our summer reading program, which is already more than we ended the summer with last year. So we are moving right along. They have already logged more than 117,000 minutes of reading this summer, which is about 62.5% of what they did last summer. So which was just 187,099 minutes, I think was what they did last summer. So we've been doing lots of math these last few weeks, Vicki and I have, as we are trying to keep everyone updated on what's going on. Now, we have already had 130 kids who have read more than 300 minutes.
Ah, cool.
Yes, and so those kids are already going to be automatically registered to be eligible for our grand prize drawing. And we have 2 grand prizes available this year, which are 2 fishing and manatee trips that have been donated by Mike Bays and his brother Ewan. For those of you who might know the name Mike Bays, he is instrumental in the Bookline and Thinker program that the Education Foundation runs. And so he was quick to donate trips last year and was thrilled to help us out again this year. And as kind of a new thing that we were trying out this summer, the youth librarians in Adam were really trying to find ways to bring families in on Saturdays and on the weekend. So we have done 4 Saturday programs planned. We've already hosted 3 of them, and our 4th is coming up. But the very first Saturday program we hosted was at the Lakes Region Branch on Saturday, June the 10th. so just a couple of weeks ago, and that was our Touch a Truck event. And so that event, we invited in some of our partners throughout the county. So the Inverness Fire Department, the Citrus County Sheriff's Office, Mosquito Control, and Duke Energy. And so they brought in, as you can imagine, large trucks. So we had a fire truck. The Citrus County Sheriff's Office brought in their bomb truck with the robots and the really cool fun stuff. And then Inverness Fire, of course, brought a fire truck. Did I say fire truck already? I may have, sorry. And then Mosquito Control brought us their airboat. And Duke Energy brought one of their linemen came out and brought his whole large truck setup. And so the kids were able to get out, interact with these other vehicles that they may not normally get to see. They were climbing inside the fire truck. One of the gentlemen who works on the airboat for Mosquito Control was there, and he was helping kids up into the boat, and they got to sit in the captain's seat of that one. There was some different equipment and things that they got to look at during the Duke Energy portion. And then if you didn't see Marvin the manatee, our lovely stuffed animal mascot, he was lifted up with the robot that was there from the bomb squad to kind of demonstrate how the robotics portion of what their team does works. Wow. So we had 311 people attend that event in an hour and a half. Adam was manning the popsicle and water tent. He was furiously cutting the tops of all of the popsicles. Debbie and Renee were manning the parking detail. Debbie has a gift in the parking lot of making sure vehicles are in a straight line. She's thrilled that we know the skill set of hers because we utilize it on a regular basis. You can just tell how excited she is, can't you? And then we had other staff members who were there and available to help. We also had a story walk out for the kids to experience that and get some literacy in there as well. So we were thrilled with the turnout for that event. And we have a second one coming up in July, on Saturday, July the 8th at our Homosassa Library, also from 10:30 to 12. And so Mosquito Control will be back out with the airboat. Duke Energy will also be there. The sheriff's office is coming back, but they are giving us their dive trailer. So they said they're going to bring it in and pull all of the dive equipment out, and the kids will get to see what all of the equipment is that they use. And then the Citrus County Fire and Fire Rescue will be there as well. So we are very excited with the turnout and thrilled that we have been able to pull in so many families and really give a multi-aged event to our community. So we are hopeful that we will hit that 250 to 350 number again at Homosassa. And we would like to invite all of you to stop by. Be forewarned, the parking does get a little crazy and there are strollers and wagons everywhere, but you know, they're all having a great time. And if you ask Adam nicely enough, he may cut the top of a popsicle for you. So
What is the age level? You said multi-age level. What?
So we had anywhere from as young as little babies all the way up through our middle schoolers. So it was really a well-rounded event for families. There was something for everyone to experience there, which we were just excited to put out. We know some of our programming during the summer gets very specific to the age ranges. Our story times, we tailor to the younger kids. Our summer reading programs, we try to keep those broken out by ages just to keep the interest of everyone. Thankfully, fire trucks tend to be a crowd pleaser at every age range. The parents were excited. They were all thrilled with the robots. So we were, we did see probably the heaviest age range in attendance was our elementary aged kids. So, yes.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's good. Okay, so we got our regular business out of the way right now. Under old business, so what we're going to do is we were asked about adding another open to the public session at the end of the meeting. So we have the room for 2 hours. We don't think it's going to be a time issue. We checked, Adam did a lot of checking, and previously, years ago, it was on the agenda. We never needed it. We didn't use it, so it was taken off. But since it's been requested, we put it back on. We checked the other boards in the county to see who had it and who didn't have it. There's 1 or 2 others that have it, and then the other 4 or 5 do not. But we'll add it in. If we don't use it or don't need it, it's just there on the agenda. It doesn't hurt to have it in case somebody wants to comment at the end of the session. So we'll add that. So if I can have a motion to add that, or
Oh, well, we haven't voted on it yet.
no, we're just going to make a motion to talk about it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to add that. The second.
And
I'll
I'll
go-
second.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So now, is anybody from the floor like to make a comment about that? Adding it, not adding it? Anybody have any feedback on that? Okay. So how about the board? Go around. Shavana, any thoughts on that?
No,
Either way.
sounds good.
Justin?
Nope.
Edith?
No.
Yes. What is the purpose? I mean, we have it in the beginning when we first, open up as our 5th thing here. So is the second one for latecomers or something they've heard that we discussed during the meeting?
It would probably most likely be something we've discussed during the meeting. Now, after the open to the public at the end, the session we're discussing, what would happen is we would probably then see if there was anything that somebody brought up that we were interested in maybe putting on an agenda at a later date, or something that somebody picked up maybe that they would like subtracted or changed, and then we could bring that up as an agenda item at another meeting and then
Or if they're
discuss it.
asking for clarification or something?
Right,
All right.
exactly. Or if,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So that's it. Neil?
Okay. I was one of the ones at the last meeting that I was concerned about this. It happened really fast. Okay, somebody made a motion. I had never heard anything about this as far as anybody wanting it or not wanting it and everything. So I said,
Correct.
hold on, let's see why we should want this, and so I wanted to do a little research on it. And I really had a lot of fun because I contacted every county in the state of Florida.
Oh,
Okay, it was like this mission for me. Okay,
Good work.
because I wanted to know what other advisory boards were doing, and I thought that would be the best way to get that information. Okay, first of all, not every county has an advisory board. It's not. It's about half and half. It depends on how their district is, formed. So that was, but they were. And let me say too, library people are the nicest people in the whole world. I made a lot of new friends talking to these people and everything, and they were very, very helpful. But we don't have advisory boards in all of our counties. We also have some smaller counties that go like 2s and 3s and get together, and they do like a consortium, and they don't have advisory boards either. And some of the larger counties have their district boards that don't have advisory boards either. So I ended up with 25 advisory boards. Okay, the Bay County, Brevard County, Collier County, DeSoto County, Escambia County, Hernando County, Hillsborough County, Jackson County. Jackson County was real interested because I talked to the administrator there for some time until I realized that I was talking to the administrator at Jackson County, Colorado. So, but we had a good conversation. Okay, Lake County, Lee County, Leon County, Manatee County, Monroe County, Osceola County, Palm Beach County, Pasco County, Pinellas County, Santa Rosa County, Sarasota County, St. Lucia County, St. Johns County, Seminole County, Sumter County, Volusia County, and Walton County. Okay, I have copies of all of their agendas here so you can see how their agendas are set up. All of the advisory boards in the state of Florida, in each county, there are no advisory boards that have 2 sessions for public input. They all have 1, or even a couple of them don't have any. None of them have 2. None of them saw the reason for it. They were real interested, but none of them, they don't do it. I find that very interesting. I don't think, if they don't do it, why should we do it? Why are we, why do we need it? They have perfectly good input without 2. And I don't see why Citrus County has to be the ones that come out and be for a second one. Now, I think we can possibly make some efficiencies and maybe some changes in the one input that we do. But I can pass this around if anybody wants to see the agendas and the minutes, but you can see that none of these do it. And I think we would be, trying to fix something that's not broken. So I would definitely vote against having two public input when everybody else in the state of Florida, guys, has one.
Is the invitation from the board still open?
Not yet. Not yet.
Madam Vice, I have a question. Do you know if they follow Robert's Rule of Order?
Okay, I did check that. Okay, and Robert's Rules of Order does not demand that it be one way or the other. They don't have anything of it in our notebooks. They're in our plans for meeting structure. There is nothing for public opinion, so it doesn't do it one way or the other. So it has no rulings one way or the other.
Right. My question is more on the lines of Robert's Rule of Orders is a discussion-based forum, and so that's my interest in that.
Where I would like to see this go, but I don't know if this is the time or not.
Well, after Elaine comments, we can have a full discussion.
Okay.
We have one more board member in there.
Okay.
So let's hear what Elaine has to say about it. What's your opinion?
Well, I think our constituents have requested it, and we should go ahead and aid them in that. I think it's good to have the rapport with the public. They want to have conversation after our discussion before our vote, and I think that it's important to hear them if they take the time to come here to help us do our job.
Okay. So my comment on that would be that we do have discussion after each motion. After the first and the second of a motion, there is a public portion of comment on everything that we would have to vote on. So that would get addressed in that section. The other thing is at the beginning of the meeting where we have the open to the public, that also isn't something that we have to have. In fact, that wasn't, like I said, that wasn't there years ago, and the other second part wasn't there. It was taken out. We didn't need it. We never needed it. It wasn't used. But we added it back in because we had some issues that the public wanted to comment on. So it can go either way. We can just, we have public discussion for each motion. We have the open to the public at the beginning. The only thing the end would be maybe to comment, but.
Well, okay, we didn't have we had one person. Right. Okay, and then you made the motion. So what's it like we had this big influx of people wanting this? One of the things, and I'm so glad you brought that up, and I think this was one of the things that made me decide, is in following Robert's Rules of Order, with every motion, with every business, okay, that's got a second, it's open for everybody. Mm-hmm. So we're not giving that up. Every person that's here has an opportunity to have input on everything of business. So it's not like they've got this one time and then they're shut off. We open that up. Now, maybe we haven't been doing a real good job of letting them know. I think you do, but I think if we let people know, you have that first time for anything that's not on the agenda, but they do have, according to Robert Rules, that second time. It's there for you. So it's not like you don't have more than one time to have
Well,
input.
the open to the public at the beginning would basically be any discussion on any library issue. However, when you get to the motion, that would be specific to that motion. So that would be that discussion. So then after that, then we have a discussion and then we would take a
So the
vote on it.
second one would be redundant.
Basically.
No.
The second one.
The
if
last
you-
one.
It would be now. Well,
It would be,
Yes.
it's redundant. We've already, the first one opens up to things that are not on the agenda, and then everything we vote on, people get to discuss
Correct.
prior.
what do you need?
So it would be redundant.
So we have a motion and is there any further discussion from the board on it?
One thing that came to mind is, and I don't know if it'd be proper, but I do think possibly to my particular motion that I just made, an amendment to it might be necessary as to a full time limit to the entire block. In other words, obviously, each individual person would be limited to 3 minutes, but the full time limit to the block, I think, would be necessary. And I do believe Robert's Rule of Order, we have to go through full discussion on the motion as is before I can make that amendment, but I do want to say that. Anyways.
So the motion right now is,
To just add an open to the
Right.
public
Oh, okay.
session at the end.
all right, so
That
then we'll have
doesn't
discussion
stand
later on.
Yeah.
32, okay.
Yeah, and then we'll just, okay, is there any further discussion from anybody on that motion? Okay, so, as we understand, Justin made the motion and who seconded?
I second it.
Elaine seconded. The motion would be to add an open to the public session, with 3-minute sessions for each speaker, at the end of the meeting, before we actually adjourned. So I guess we'll take a vote on that now. Shavana, yes or no?
Are we voting or open to the?
Oh, we didn't have the, I'm sorry. Okay, I thought I asked for open to the public. Go ahead.
April, if I may, you did already close that portion?
I thought I did.
You did.
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you did open up with that.
okay. I was pretty sure I.
But before we vote on that, I'd like to make an amendment, if that would be. But I was waiting for full discussion on that, but I would like to make an amendment on that motion as it
You can
stands.
do that. That's proper.
I would like to make an amendment that the full discussion time limit would be 15 minutes. So that would allow for a maximum of 5 persons. That way, we're at the latter part of the meeting. We're not here forever. So,
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion has now been amended to a 15-minute time limit at the end of the meeting, where it would be an open to the public to speak. I'm not sure how that would be administered.
How do we approve the amendment?
Well, we have to have the motion worded first, then we can open it for discussion, then we can discuss it. So I have to ask for clarification on that, maybe, Adam. How would we administer that?
As far as I'm aware, I don't think you can put a limit on that as far as only allowing X number of people to speak. I think it has to be
Open
sort
or
of
not
open
open?
or not open. You're subject to obviously the time that we have in the room. I think if it were to be a lengthy amount of time for open to the public, if there's a lot of people that wanted to speak and it was on the same or a single issue, you may have to call a special meeting if it got to be a lot of people. But I don't believe you can just have, X number of people are allowed to speak and then that's
Yeah,
that's it.
that was my question as well. And we have done that in the past. We have called, we've had 2 issues where we
I
actually
rescind my amendment.
had special meetings. Okay, so let's make the motion to an open to the public session at the end of the meeting after the announcements before the adjournment, or not. We're going to vote yes or no on this.
Okay, are we going to allow the man from the audience to add to the discussion from?
Well, I
For this
closed that
particular
portion
motion.
of
Yeah.
comment.
She did open with that.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll go around the room then. Shavana, what do you think?
And just to be clear, there in this session could not be a time limit, but each person would have a 3-minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm gonna vote no because it does seem redundant. Yes.
Thank you.
No.
Justin?
Yes.
Edith?
Yes.
Lorraine?
No.
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 Yes.
Okay. Where does that leave us? We have 3 yeses and 4 nos. So the motion to open to public at the end will not be added to the agenda. We'll keep the open to the public in the beginning, and then we'll keep it with each motion that we make. We'll have discussion from the public and also from the board. And that will notate that motion and close it. Thank you, everybody. Okay. We did that. Next thing I want to talk about is some new business. As you see, Carol Spring is not here. She has emailed her resignation because she has moved away from the area. So the announcement will have to go back to the Board of County Commissioners. That will not get on their agenda until July 25th, and then they will announce it. So we'll wait for that process, and then it'll go on the website. People can apply in July, and they'll set out the parameters when it goes through the BOCC. So just to let you know, that's happening as well. Anything you want to add to that, Adam?
No.
Okay. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we have somebody here today that I think some of the newer folks on the board might not be familiar with. We have a foundation. You have the paperwork in here. Right now it has $771,000 in there. I just want to make a little comment about how we got to that. For 10 years, we had a fundraiser every year, worked on it just about every day, 365 days a year. It was a big extravaganza. That's how we got to $771,000. And then COVID hit, and we didn't, and that was sort of it. And the setup on the libraries has changed, so it was impossible physically to have it in there. So some of the things that you're going to hear Adam talk about today are going to change the way that we have it. We've been trying to reconstitute it in some form and weren't sure how we were going to do that. But we will talk about it more after some of the other business that we have gets moving along. It was a function in the evening, and it was held in the library because we wanted it to be a literary event. And as the years went by, there was a little wine, and then there was a little beer, and a lot of food, and then there was more food, and then there was more food. And there was a lot of input from the county. We had businesses, private citizens, we had artists, authors donate a myriad of things. We had a storage facility full of auction items, and every year it had a different theme. So we had decorations. This thing was a real extravaganza. So it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of happy faces from a lot of people, hundreds of sweat equity hours, hundreds of people, and that's how we got to this point. When we originally started, I think there was like $3,000 in there, and then it went to like 30, and so now it is where it is. Also, there's been some people that have donated amounts that felt passionately about the event, and that has helped as well. So just wanted to let everybody know how we got here and what kind of a process it is, and it's a good thing we have it, and you're going to find out why. And Adam's going to explain now, finally, what we get to see the fruition of our labors and all the good things that are going to come about. Take it away.
Great. Before I speak, we also have Johnny Cash from the U.S. Family Foundation, who's going to give us an overview.
There you go.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for the opportunity to come and speak with you guys. When Eric asked me to come speak, I kind of thought about the Wizard of Oz. You know, you got to peel back the curtain, and yes, there is someone actually there, the U.S. Family Foundation. We are real people. We've been here since 1999. Our stated mission is to help people who aren't Bill Gates set up their own foundation. That's our primary purpose. We have about 25 foundations that we operate as a donor-advised fund. We benefit about 130 charities all over the country. Prior to what's been happening in the market, I think our last two giving cycles, we gave over $1 million to charities all over the country. So I'm an accountant by day, but this is one of the things that I'm most passionate about because we get to help a lot. And a third of all the contributions we give are right here in Citrus County. So we're very much a community foundation. And we're proud to do that. We're also very proud to partner with the Library District. The fund that was created under the leadership of Admiral Ren Renfro, who some of you, if you've been here for a while, remember Ren. Truly an amazing individual. And he had this vision that there might be times when the library needed funds that were really outside of what would be appropriated by the Board of County Commissioners. And we won't talk about them because they're not here. But he knew that there would be times where there would be a need to raise funds outside of, the operating budget. And so, there were options, of course. He could have gone out and got a group together and formed a corporation and formed an investment policy and had meetings in addition to the meetings he was already having. But he decided to partner with us, and it's been a very beneficial partnership. And really, Admiral Renfro, he was very passionate about the library. And so when he unfortunately passed away, he named the library district, this foundation, in his estate. And so since his death, he's probably contributed about $250,000 to this fund. So part of the $700,000 that's there is not just from the Love Your Library event, which has been very successful. And so those funds come to us. We deposit those funds. All of the investments are professionally managed by Edward Jones Trust Company out of St. Louis. And we, of course, we're audited annually, so we do open ourselves up to scrutiny. But Admiral Renfro and one other foundation, just 2 years ago, was about $180,000 that came to this foundation because of his leadership all those years ago. And so now, the time's come where there's going to be a need for those funds, and so they've been able to have been built up over these years through his foresight, because he knew this day was going to come, and so he provided this vehicle, and we're just very happy and appreciative of our role in partnering with you guys to make sure that these funds are there, that they're professionally managed, and now when you need them, the funds are there to make some great things happen for this community. So if you have any questions for me, since you've got me here, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about the U.S. Family Foundation or anything else about how this fund is managed.
So it's open to the board. Anybody have any questions for Johnny Cash?
I do not.
Thank you for making an appearance. It's nice to see a face
Yes.
go with the name.
Yes, exactly. Yes, the great and powerful Oz is showing up. So,
Are these monies, you said, managed through Edward Jones?
yes, about 98% of all of our funds are managed by Edward Jones Trust Company. We do have some funds managed by Merrill Lynch, but no, I am not managing. I'm not investing your money. We're making sure it's professionally done by professional money managers.
Wise man.
Yes. With what's going on right now, I don't want to manage anyone's money.
And how accessible are they? I mean, how easily can we get to them?
So I alluded to earlier, it's a great question. We operate as a donor advised fund. So you are the donor advisors. And so basically all it takes is something in writing that says, we need X number of dollars. Historically, those requests would come when it was time for the Love Your Library event.
Okay.
That could be $5,000 to $7,000, and so we would help basically fund up front the fundraiser, and then of course all the contributions would come in. But yeah, all it takes is a request,
Which we will do.
Can
Thank you.
those monies be used as a loan to ourselves? Or can we borrow from our own funds?
Well, we're not really there to have you borrow your money, so
Okay.
that typically would not be the arrangement, because it's this weird relationship that the IRS has set up, where the assets belong to the U.S. Family Foundation, but you're the donor advisor. And so when you need those funds or you want those funds for your purpose, and we've actually done this with a lot of other small charities, because a lot of small nonprofits understand that long-term health of their organization depends on having endowments. And so we've partnered with some other small nonprofits who know they need endowments, but they don't have the structure to set up an endowment fund. So we get to partner with them, and then all they have to do is what you do. You find people who are passionate about the library, and now you have a vehicle for them to make those contributions, but you don't have to get involved in the management of that. And of course, just to be open, we do charge, the U.S. Family Foundation does charge a fee. We charge a 1% management fee, and then the fund managers charge 0.6%. So it's 1.6% is basically the cost. And typically that's all funded by the earnings from the fund. So the interest and dividends that are being paid are covering the management fees. And so the growth that happens, which will happen again, despite what's been going on, that'll help the foundation continue to grow because all the management fees are being paid by the income.
It appears there actually was a net gain even with the management fees.
Typically, I mean, it's been a little challenging. We do give annually based on the growth of our invested assets. So for 2022, the invested assets actually decreased in value. So there was no additional funding to the library fund from those two foundations because the investments actually went down. But they're starting to come back.
It's been a wonderful partnership so far.
Yes. And we appreciate the opportunity and love the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
All right.
We love it. Okay, Adam, that's you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. If I could also, I'd like to have Eric Head come up as well. He is, as I think all of you know, the Community Services Director, but formerly Library Services Director. He's been through the process of Love Your Library and getting all of this started all these years. So I thought it would be fitting to have him come and assist with this if there's some questions that I can't answer historically or if I leave anything out. Eric is obviously a huge supporter of libraries and all that we do. So nobody better to have helping kind of make sense of all of this with you real quick. But I want to go over just briefly. I gave you all in your in the handouts we sent out, you would have gotten a Lakes Region renovation capital improvement plan, just to kind of detail where we are and what we're looking to do. But we have an opportunity right now with the county where they will provide $300,000 for renovation of the Lakes Region Library, with the understanding that there will be a match of those funds, and those funds would come from the U.S. Family Foundations that you all manage. So we have that opportunity to kind of now to be able to move forward with that. There's not been a lot of traction with this historically, but the opportunity is here with us to move kind of quickly and make those decisions. But what we'd like to do is look at renovating the Lakes Region Library, which is one of our oldest buildings. It's about 36 years old, along with the Coastal Region Library. They're pretty much the same age, same footprint. And what we'd like to do with the funding to be able to renovate is not to increase the size of the building, but just change the layout and add some things to make it more modern and better meet the needs of the community. Over the last 35, 36 years, what people are using our libraries for has changed dramatically. We've made do and accommodated things for the public, where they've wanted additional meeting spaces, study spaces, they've wanted additional outlets, things like that, to be able to charge the devices. But I can go briefly through some of the things I was looking at adding as upgrades. This is a list that I've given you, the bulleted list. We may not be able to get to all these items with the proposed $600,000 that we have, but we'd certainly go down the list and cover as many of them as we can. And I've kind of listed them in priority order. But one of the things that we get asked a lot about is meeting spaces. In our Lakes Region Library, we have one meeting space right now, and it holds around 70 people. It's used very, very frequently, so much so that a lot of times we have other groups that want to meet at the same time, and we often put them in other areas of the library, which sometimes can create some noise disruption. But we want to try to accommodate every group that we can, so we make it work. But one of the things we'd like to do is create a smaller meeting space for different groups that may want to meet, because we do allow them to meet free of charge. But we also use that room potentially for some of our library programs as well. So we hold sewing classes, art classes, youth programs, different lectures, things like that we could hold in a smaller meeting room. And we've kind of gone with the size of around a 20 to 25 person meeting room, because that's around the average meeting size, or a little bit smaller, of what people are requesting. So we realize we don't need another huge, 50 to 70 capacity space at this point in our building, especially if we're keeping the footprint the same. But a smaller room would certainly give us that flexibility to allow more groups to meet. Another thing that we talked about was study rooms. Study rooms would be a great addition. We currently have them in 2 of our libraries. The Homosassa and the Central Ridge Library have study rooms, and we get questions pretty much every week at all of our branches if they have study rooms available for people. So it's a small meeting space that a lot of people utilize just to meet one-on-one with people. Occasionally people want to use them now with the emergence of all of the like Zoom meetings and like telehealth visits. People want a quiet space to do their virtual job interviews or whatever they're doing. And study rooms would allow us to provide that. Additional electrical upgrades will be important for us as well. As I briefly mentioned, when we built the libraries, 35, 36 years ago, it wasn't in mind of the digital age that we have now, where everyone has a mobile device. They want to charge all their things. They want to be able to, sit in different places and have sort of a flexible layout. So we would make some changes there to be able to offer more space for people to use their devices throughout our buildings and power underfloor as well. Because now we do. Years ago, we never offered like sewing classes and things like that. But now we need places to plug in those devices safely, so we're not running large extension cords to the building and all those types of things. And then, of course, improve lighting in certain areas. We'd look to replace the flooring throughout the building using a mix of different types of flooring, realizing that just rolled carpet may not be the best solution going forward. Carpet squares that we can easily replace, having different kind of laminate or tile in different areas, just to really change the space with what we have and reduce noise in certain areas, make it easier for cleanup, all those different things with the flooring. Removing the wallpaper that's on the walls currently. Some of our areas have wallpaper that's sort of peeling from, I think it's from 1987. I don't think we've replaced the wallpaper.
It's old.
So it does need an update. Our buildings structurally are wonderful. There's no issues with the actual building. It's just modernizing the interior of the buildings, making them more flexible and available for the community, and just giving them that refresh. Just a new coat of paint, new flooring, peeling that wallpaper away, updating the restrooms a little bit. Repainting them will make a world of difference for the community. And then a couple other things. We want to create a new secure space for our data closet and our data storage. It's in a secure location now, but it's not in an ideal location. We'd prefer to put it behind where staff have access to, and it's not behind a locked door in the public area. Just moving it to make it a little bit better. And then adding badge readers to all of our doors in our buildings. Right now, we don't use keys. We just use our badge to kind of scan in and out. It would make it a lot easier for us to manage that instead of assigning keys and things. That's a lower priority item on the list, but it's still one that's important looking ahead to the future of where our library might be going. So that's kind of just a brief overview of where I think that we'd look to utilize those funds if we were able to have a successful outcome and a vote from you all to provide $300,000 and match that funding that the county has available. They've made this funding available pretty much now. They have a time limit to expend that funding. So they're looking for projects that are sort of, for lack of a better word, like shovel ready, and that we can start and move forward with. So I'll turn it over to Eric if I've missed anything.
Do we have an architect that designs this, or where is the design coming from?
So because we're not really doing very much in terms of like structural change, we're not working currently with an architect. We will have licensed like contractors and things put up. The building is not going to be just random people.
No big cost there.
No, because we're not looking to. Due to the amount of money that we have and the time frame we're working on, we're not going to be gutting the building and then starting again. It's really just adding a couple things, repainting and upgrading areas that really need to be upgraded that can move us forward for the next, 5, 10, 20 years.
35 years.
35, yes. Potentially 35 years.
Yeah, Adam. I just want to reel back just for a second. I want to thank Johnny Cash because we were talking before the meeting how long this has been occurring, and it's been he'd been doing what he's doing in the county for over 30 years, I think, and I was like, well, I've been here 27. That's the thing, you don't realize how fast time flies, but thanks to the power of all of those donors and compounded interest and all that wonderful thing with the investments, we're in a great place. Now I can remember back, I believe about 12 or 13 years ago, when we first started before the Love Your Library campaign was going, as to why do we want to raise those funds. Well, we already knew, thanks to Admiral Renfro, the purpose of that fund and what it needed to be, because he had the vision to see that, and he knew county and he knew politics and he knew those things, that it's not always there. And that sometimes, especially as we know, we try to keep tax bases low and all of those other types of things. There needs to be an avenue for people to be able to give to help the library where they can in a big way. Back then, those buildings were only about 10 years old. Well, now they're, as Adam said, they're going on 37 years old. They've been here the whole time. I've watched them, been in every crack and crevice of them. And it's pretty amazing, and it makes me feel very good to come to you and say this is exactly what was intended for the fund. And while it does sound expensive, that's unfortunately the day and age we're in. Everything is expensive. But the goal would be, and when I started working with the county again, to see and to find that extra, it's not extra, it was funds that was provided down through, I believe, ARPA, and those funds have a time frame on them. They need to be expended, I believe, by the end of 25 or 26. So we have a project ready to go. We fortunately have Adam there that I think is doing exceptionally well to help manage that project through, both for lakes. It was always intended, as the board said, first comes lakes, then comes coastal. That's not based on anything other than sheer use and population and volume. And we've always looked at those numbers. I'm sure if you're curious, he can give you the updated numbers and you can see where that is. But both of those buildings, if you look at them, they were both built at the exact same time in 1985 and 1986, opened in 1987. So it's exciting to see. The only other thing I would add is just looking at if there's any questions about what that was. I know that the board, again, about 10 or 12, 13 years ago, voted to direct, any future use of those funds, and they identified in a meeting that Lakes and Coastal would be the first beneficiaries. Obviously, all the buildings, even though we have what we would still consider new, although they're over 10 years old now as well, the Central Ridge Library would then be in succession after that. But you can see where there is a logic to it, where you do one, you do another, you keep raising funding. And like we were talking previously, we hope that the renovation of this facility inside will get people excited, especially the people over in the coastal region area, in Crystal River, to know that they're up next, but they're going to need to now engage and raise those funds as well to build that fund back up and then go and renovate that building as well. But it's very exciting. So,
Eric, can
Yes.
you address for the board how exactly that's going to work? So the money's coming from where, how it's going to be managed,
exactly.
how our money's going to go?
Well, basically, I think what we're asking the board today is to, and you do have to vote that. You're as Johnny Cash alluded to, it's a donor advised fund. You're the advisor. You simply have a motion, a vote to request, and our request is $300,000. And it would go to the county with the very specific purpose of renovations at the Lakes Region Library in Inverness. What happens then, and I've already worked with the management and budget director, they set up an account that is specifically for that. It's an individual account. When that money is received, it goes into that account. It can't be used for anything else other than expenditures directly related to the Lakes Region Library renovation in Inverness. There will be another $300,000 in another account that is also at that point on October 1st, when we get into the new fiscal year, designated for that purpose. So that's $600,000. And while our current budget is not yet approved, I know that we'll be talking about that at a future meeting, possibly the next meeting here, where we'll be, Adam will be reviewing the library's budget. Adam has also put some operational funds towards some specific things to help supplement that a little. And that could be, depending on where the budget lands and approval in September, that could be up to another $150,000. So we're looking at overall the project for Lakes Region would be $750,000 moving into October 1st. And obviously we need to move quickly and get those things going, because that would all need to be expended within that fiscal year. But I think it would happen pretty succinctly. And like you mentioned, is there an architect or anything we're working with? A couple of different reasons. One, we don't think we need it, because we'll be working with individual vendors on specific projects within the facility. And two, we don't need to spend the money on that, because I think that we have enough talent within, and then working with our facilities management department and some other areas and those vendors, that we can get that done without that added expense.
And we do have a time deadline of a year, is that correct?
We need to get it
Okay.
done within a year.
So, and I have a question. So, okay, so we have 300, 2 accounts, and possibly another 150. Suppose we get everything done in a timely manner here, and I know this is a strange question, but suppose it doesn't cost us $600,000. Suppose it costs us $550,000, and there's money left over. If we
It's a good
earmark
question.
that for
No,
lakes,
sure.
then what happens to those funds? Do you use the funds from the county first and a second? Like, how does that work?
Well, that's not going to be a
Sorry.
problem, and here's why. Adam and I were discussing this yesterday. There are, and I think if you start actually pricing out each one of these items in this list, and this is not a fully comprehensive list, there's other additional things that can be done in that facility. It's way over $750,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
we'll spend the
That
the
was my
goal would
question.
be to completely expend those funds dedicated for that facility in that facility. Because there's always additional equipment, there's always additional furniture upgrades. There will not be enough to do everything that we would love to do. I think just ballparking a full renovation would probably be well over $1 million, but we are looking at getting all of the things that we can get done within that 750 done. And then over the next couple of fiscal years, doing some of those smaller items that we would then plug in to
the budget.
complete. But the bigger things, like Adam indicated, by the time you get the bathrooms renovated, the flooring done, the painting done, the
Lighting.
furniture done, the additional study rooms and meeting rooms done, it's going to look like a completely different library inside. And it will be
And it
what
should.
people are expecting. Some of the other things, there will be some electrical upgrades, I think, that aren't listed there. Some, they talked about the data room. That's a huge thing. Those are the things you don't see, but they cost quite a bit to get them done inside the building. So
There's always things you don't
the
see.
goal would be to completely spend all of that funding dedicated for that branch in that branch.
Okay, that was what I asked. And so will the way they'll allocate the funding, it'll come out of the county amount first and then our amount at the same time equally? How will they administer
Same time
that?
equally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they'll just keep taking it out to pay. All right.
Correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure everybody's clear how we're
I like
doing
that.
it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's,
And I think Adam will be able to bring you back updates as it goes by, which pieces are being done, what the timelines are, because, make no, it will be a messy project. I mean, anytime
sure.
if you've ever renovated a room in your house, you know how messy that can
I
be.
have
There will be
renovated.
sections of the library inevitably that will have to be closed off. But the benefit of doing it this way is too, you're not closing that facility completely at any given time. You're sectioning it off. You're doing different projects in the building because you can't. I mean, to completely close and gut a building, you would have to find an alternative location, which is another additional expense that we're trying to avoid. So
you don't want to do that.
yeah, Inverness is far too busy to not have library service available. Just by circulation alone and the increases that Adam was talking about earlier, you can see that we can't do that. We have to kind of find a way to keep everything open at the same time. Might be a little dusty, but we'll get it done.
Well, I think after 35, 37 years, we're due. And not only that, but I think the way this county's heading with the population of people, 1,500 homes a year coming in, I mean, we really have to move now to get this done, because it's only going to cost more and there's going to be more people involved later. So it needs to be done, in my view. We need to
And just planning for the
take
future.
it up now.
That's why it is important that we get, there's funding available. We don't want, because that funding will go somewhere else if we don't
Oh, yeah.
utilize it. And that's why it's important to move forward now with Coastal right behind it as quickly as we can, if we can find additional funding for that one as well, and hopefully raise some additional funding through the foundation. Because the Central Ridge branch, which is in Beverly Hills, is experiencing massive growth too. That is the busiest facility, and while it's the largest, it has limited room to grow.
Right.
Unless you completely move all of the administrative and operational functions out of there and remodel that facility. But because that area is growing so fast, we have to get plans going for the next 7 to 10 years, which Adam is working on now. So yeah, there's more to come. So we do need to move. It's time to move forward and get this completed so we can start focusing on the next phase. for the next 5 to 10 years.
I think that's where the county's going, so it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
I have
so
a question.
Yep.
go ahead.
Are there any requirements to the grant funds that you need to meet?
The funding, grant funds from,
You said
County.
you're getting 300,000 in grants.
well, it says grant, but basically that's a placeholder. That was, I believe, our funding which came to the county, and it's up to the county how to expend those funds. So there are no ties for anything to that. It's dependent upon what the county wants to
Okay,
do
so
with
there's
those
no
funds.
stipulation.
It's not your typical type of grant where you have typical grant, but no, there are no stipulations or things for the funding. Very similar to how you get the funding that you've already raised from the foundation. It's for what you decide and vote for it to be used for.
And then I would like to make a recommendation. I think that having a little small fountain inside the entryway would be really pretty and attract people and be relaxing and all that good stuff. So
Okay.
if there's room for that, that would be nice.
Talk to that guy. He'll be pulling together those items and the prioritizing. Keep in mind, there's going to be some priorities that have to be met first, the big stuff. But if there are opportunities for extras, that can certainly be where some of those considerations are made.
If you've seen something like that, Elaine, if you send me a picture or a reference point, we can, see what that looks like and if it's feasible in the building. But if you can give me some kind of jumping off point, that would be helpful.
And I have to mention here too, that sometimes aesthetic items and things that are pleasant and nice are really good in our libraries. And sometimes the friends groups help with those things too. So whatever your local library is, you might want to approach your friends and talk to them about it and then get with Adam and see if that's something. Because sometimes when there's things that are a little bit outside there, the friends have funds or they want to make it their project. You could make that your project. So things like that. So there's also things that you can do to get involved at your library like that, that help out too. So it's a good idea.
With the time limit, excuse me, sorry.
Yes.
Does all of the work that needs to be done have to go out to bids since there's county funds?
Depends on the individual projects.
Okay.
For instance, I'll use flooring, for example, because flooring is obviously going to be over $35,000 for a facility that size. Yes, it will. And what'll happen is you'll have individual bids for each section. Since Adam's managing the project, when it's time to do the flooring, a flooring bid will be put together. That'll go out to bid and come back. That's why October 1, Adam has to be ready, hit the ground running with OMB and purchasing to get those bids lined up. You basically write the specifications, put the scope together, and get those out. That'll typically take a couple of months. So that's why we have to be ready to hit the ground running on October 1 for those larger pieces. Smaller pieces, anything under $35,000, typically it's required to have 3 quotes, but you don't have to go through a formal, weeks-long, months-long bid process.
Got it. And then if it runs over the time, just because if there's no bidders and then you have to put it back out and it runs over time, is there like a grace period or something like that?
So let's just say you get into a situation where it's already gone out to bid. They're working on the project. That company that won the bid already has a purchase order. We typically have this happen. We get right up against the September 30th, the end of the fiscal year, but we know that's coming. So there is a process to roll that project into the next fiscal year. And since it's already in motion, there would be a time frame where we roll it forward to get it done. If that wouldn't interfere with the time frame for the funds that are being given by the county. So we're still well within that. So yeah, it has some flexibility.
So who does the scope and the bid? Does the library system, Adam, in conjunction?
In conjunction with our facility staff, yes.
Okay, so the facility staff, okay.
Yeah, we would call in our internal specialists and experts first, but we can also work with, other folks that have already done some of these projects within the county. The county over the years has a large vendor list of folks that they'll send those bids out to. With experience, flooring, for instance, we've had a lot of flooring done. There are already a good 4 or 5 different flooring vendors they commonly work with.
Oh, good, okay.
They commonly bid on things within the county.
Okay. Now, so my next question would be, I know how we usually word it and what we usually say when we put the request in for the seed money for the Love Your Library. For this particular situation, where we're taking the money out and it's going to a specific project, how would we like to have that worded? Is there
I
a
think-
specific way, like, does Johnny Cash need to have a certain wording on this? Or would we like a certain wording that's because of the county, or how's that gonna go?
I think Eric mentioned it just a minute ago.
Yeah, you do have to, and of course, if I'm wrong, Mr. Cash could come up, you could call him up to answer the question, but I believe it's just simply a letter from this, once you have a vote, you first have to vote,
Correct.
obviously, and have a brief discussion and approval of those funds for that specific purpose.
I wanna know how to word it exactly.
Then
if
I
there's
believe that you
anything.
would you can work with Adam to just word that letter that this is what the board met. We voted to utilize these funds for this purpose. We're requesting this amount of funds be given to, and I believe, Mr. Cash, it would be given to the county
Yeah.
with specific purposes.
Yeah, I mean, the letter can be very short because you can just attach a copy of the minutes where you basically are authorizing disbursement of
We'll do that.
Oh, okay.
$300,000 to be sent to Citrus County Board of County Commission, restricted to improvements of the Lakes Region Library. And then when we send the check to the county, we would have that stipulation in our letter to the county.
Okay. Very good.
Fantastic.
I do
Okay.
have a
And hopefully by that time, we can even have a fund set up so that's already ready. So as soon as the check is received, it
It's
goes into that fund.
deposits.
So we may even have a fund number to refer to.
Okay. Go ahead.
Eric. First of all, as a person who has managed multiple renovation projects, I assure you, you'll have no problem spending $600,000.
I didn't think so, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
And
Yeah.
I would say, I could be wrong, but I think you might need engineering for the electrical work
Yes.
that you're considering.
And we have
to do.
internal
Yeah.
engineering
Okay.
for anything, any electrical upgrades, or things like that would require that we would have a specialist come in. We
Okay.
have, and we also, if we run into a situation where, let's just say we have a plumbing issue or things like that, we also, the county has continuing services contracts with engineering and things like that we could utilize.
Okay.
We hope not, because that's extra money that you'd rather use on
Yeah.
a
But
nice
stuff
piece of
is
furniture.
gonna come
But
up,
it does
so-
happen. It's inevitable.
Good. And then as far as, so my only, I don't think I have any drawbacks or anything. It is, this is more of a selfish thing. I wish that it was the coastal region first, but so
You'll be one of our people that get out there and say, look what's happening in Inverness. Let's raise some money for Coastal River.
When we have our little extravaganza at Lakes, you'll be
Sorry.
right there.
there you go.
There you go.
All right, I knew that was coming.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
All right, so I would assume we're going to hit the ground running though with coastal. Then.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
In fact, we're already working on that. We're working on some plans. In the position I'm in now, I'm continuously looking for any opportunity to, there's some funds available. Well, how about this?
Yeah. I would
Because
imagine.
we've had these projects sitting on idle for a long
Many
time.
years.
The county has what's called the CIP, the Capital Improvement Program. These renovations, Mr. Renfro was still here. Previous director was here when those renovations were put on that CIP program. And then, of course, everybody remembers what happened in 2008, 9, 10.
Yep.
And since then, it has been delayed. So to see it actually finally move into the category where we have one in this year and possibly one in the next year is extremely exciting. And so I'll be doing everything I can from my angle to help Adam get the funding he needs to move forward with Coastal too. So
Great, thanks. And I would think Coastal, like you said, hit the ground running after they do Lakes.
Yeah.
One and done. So we'll be ready to go. That should be the next one. Okay, so does someone want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion, what he said. No.
I made some notes.
Right. Okay. That the advisory board wants to take the $300,000 from the Library Foundation Fund to utilize solely for the purpose of the renovation of the Lakes Region Capital Improvement Plan. Does that say it all?
I'll second.
Okay. Anybody from the public have a comment on the motion? Oh, we've got a taker.
How could I pass up the opportunity? That's my library, so how could I say no?
Oh, gee,
I think it's
okay.
a great idea.
Thank you. Okay, so any more discussion from the board? Does anyone have any more discussion on it? Or any questions? Okay, I guess we'll take a vote on the motion as read, that the 300,000 will come from the U.S. Family Foundation Library Advisory Board. To vote on it, we will attach the minutes, and we will vote on withdrawing 300,000 for the capital project at the Lakes Region Library. And now we will vote on that motion. Shavana?
Aye.
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 It's unanimous. Thank you all very, very much. And we'll get that done. And we're really looking forward to the renovation. And I see John Cash sneaking out. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. Wow. So we got a lot of work done here today. Let's see. Anything else that we have to announce? I think that's it. Board member updates. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? Elaine?
Yes, I want to offer an apology publicly as I called out publicly. I thought I did not get an invite to the volunteer luncheon, but I went back through my many like flyers and bookmarks, and there it was. They were very beautiful, but I get so many of them, they kind of blended in. And it's not your fault. I know I have a stack of papers that I could probably throw away, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry, Karen, Miss Karen. Thank you for the invite, and I'm sorry I missed it.
Well, we're sorry you missed it because I sat with you last year and we had a very, very nice time. So next year we'll touch up ahead of time and make sure. But we all have papers like that. I don't have anything else.
This is kind of just like loose ends here, okay, with the public input, because what I did while I was doing this, if you guys remember, what, a year and a half ago, we got caught having processes, but they weren't written down. We did things so easily among ourselves, okay, that it was just easy for us to say, well, that's the way we do it and everything. And then when somebody said, well, specifically, we were like, well, we don't know. So we had to go through a lot of putting things in writing, and Eric went through everything. So we had a guideline. It wasn't bylaws, it wasn't like laws or anything. It was just a guideline in writing. So when somebody asked us, we could say yes. And so I think we learned our lesson. And so as I was looking at this, I was thinking, well, it might be good if this public process, if we put some guidelines for that too, just in writing. So if it comes up again, if somebody asks us, okay. So what I did is this is just me, okay? I just did it because we can't talk to each other. So I just kind of did a draft as far as what I could see those guidelines possibly being, okay? So I just want to share them, and it's nothing, critical. We don't have to do anything on it today or anything, but I did want to share what I came up with as just some written guidelines that might answer a lot of questions and certainly might help us if this issue should come up again. So.
And this probably is what most of it is. We have the green cards there. They announce the name. They give it written. They have 3 minutes. Okay. So this is probably for the people in the audience. We're pretty good.
Yeah. So I don't know what you want to do with it, but there it is.
You've been busy. I made new friends on the phone.
Yeah.
No,
We
thanks.
could have it put on the website for people.
That would
Yeah.
be, yeah.
A public page.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
Yeah, and certainly let it be known that we do welcome
open public.
We do welcome people.
That's a good idea.
Can we put our agenda out there too? Because I've had people asking about agendas.
I found that a lot of these, in talking to these libraries, they did put the agenda out there, so that's not an uncommon
Weird
request.
thing. Yeah. That's
April, can I
Go
make
ahead.
a comment to that? So the agenda should be now available online way ahead of time. They do go on the county's website, so it is in accordance and it matches what you'll see for the BOCC and other board agendas. We are in the process of uploading those ahead of time.
So that's being done. So there you go. That answers your question. Thanks, Neil.
When that happens, could you go ahead and email all of us so we have the correct URL to get to them, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. I still, we still will send the agendas out to you, I believe, the way that you've been receiving them, but I can also make sure that we get you a link to see the agenda through Civic Clerk as well. Yes.
Right. Yeah,
You
that'd
can
be
just
great.
continue to send it to me.
Yes. We'll send both.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say, Madam Vice, thank you for doing all that homework. You were very busy,
Made new friends.
and I'm grateful that you now know someone that you can go vacation with in Jackson,
Yeah.
Colorado.
She's got a lot of new friends.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you. And I do want to say this, just a matter of informational. We do host the Global Leadership Summit every year at my church. And it's an excellent leadership event. It's August the 3rd and 4th. And tickets can be purchased online at gls.org. Someone in the room might know more than I do on that. But it is a phenomenal leadership event. It is actually televised out of Chicago, Illinois, and we actually broadcast it on the big screen at the gymnasium in the church. So.
Anything, Shavana?
Nothing. Thank you.
Lots going on at the airport. She was in
Always.
the Chronicle this week. One of our board members. Thanks, Justin. Thanks. Thank you, everybody. If nobody has anything else, the next meeting will be August 28th, right here at 8 a.m. And thank you all. That was a lot of work today, and I
It
appreciate it.
says August 22nd.
Oh, we gotta. Oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah, actually, there's 3 different dates.
Hold on.
Hold
on.
Let's pick one.
Hold on. It says August 22nd. I'm reading off the agenda.
Right, off the agenda, it says the 28th. Off of the memorandum
It's
for the library
22nd.
advisory board meetings.
Let me look at my calendar.
It should be the 22nd.
I think so.
Yeah, 28th is a Monday.
Yeah.
Incidentally, my birthday too, but
Yeah, I have it down as the
birthday.
the 22nd. Good catch, Elaine. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Okay. The next meeting will be here in this room on August 22nd at 8 a.m.
Thank you, Eric, for showing up today. It was nice to see your face again.
It was. Thank you, and we are adjourned.